Welcome, Taurus, to your monthly horoscope for December 2019. This is for the Sun or the Ascendant. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. This month begins with a tingle of anticipation. Jupiter, the planet of growth and of good fortune, moves on the 3rd into your sector of adventurism, of independence, of risk-taking, if I dare say. Anything to do with travel or higher education or contracts can really grab your attention over the next year through to the 20th of December 2020. Now, Jupiter technically is in full in the sign of Capricorn, but actually as this month begins, your ruling planet is alongside an asteroid called Ceres, which is very much to do with nurture. So I feel the energy that Pluto has been pushing you towards since 2008 to be more experimental, to change things up, which Saturn has then intensified over the last couple of years, that may at times have seen you a little bit conflicted between sticking with what you know and being much more free-spirited. Now, of course, once Uranus returned to your sign last March on the 7th, it gave you a push to be even more risk-taking and independent. So I think this combination of Venus and Ceres is pushing you to nurture your instinct, to welcome change, to not see it as a challenge. Now also, as this month begins, the Sun is in your sector of transformation in the 8th house. Now, it is true by the 4th, the Sun does make a quarter moon with the Moon in Pisces. Anything to do with group dynamics or your long-term future around a financial matter could seem as clear as mud over the following week, potentially, because the Sun is also going to be squaring up to Neptune. So in other words, Neptune is very close to this quarter moon. And that can create some distortion. Someone who you think is a very reliable friend may not be quite as sincere, and I have to say this, quite as trustworthy as you would like, but particularly around a financial matter. So just keep your wits about you. One of the things with the 9th house that all this energy is building up in is that it represents the truth. So you're going to find yourself on an even greater desire to reach your truth. Now, obviously, it does follow that everybody has a different reality. So whatever you want to manifest as this year comes to a close and in 2020 is going to be about getting more in touch with what sees you feeling alive, stimulated. It's good being the planet of the sign of stability as you are. It's a fantastic thing that you bring to the overall zodiac. It is the glue that holds things together, your steadfastness, and the fact that you stick at things for the long term. But if there is anything that has become so familiar, like an old pair of winter slippers that have got a bit beyond their best, then do think to try to rejuvenate things. Now that may mean stepping outside your comfort zone, and that process really does begin at the start of this month. And it comes with the Sun's help, but it's just saying to you that when it comes to some of your friendships, maybe that's an area that you may need to look again at. Now, when it comes to relationships, obviously an important part of every month, but critical at this time of the year, particularly if you start this month as a single bull, with Mercury and also Mars being the planet of lust in your sector of relating, you've got it all to go for. But Mars is going to be forging an absolutely sensational angle to Neptune from the 7th through to the 18th. And if someone really does stimulate you and have an impact on your senses, from the 6th through to the 10th, as your ruler also forges a beautiful link to Neptune, I think this could be something that really could be very special indeed. But it's just keeping that sense of reality about the longer term. So enjoy the moment. I think that's what Mars is saying. It's also saying lay out your boundaries, don't be fearful about doing that. Mercury, of course, did go through a retrograde, which began on the 31st of October. That ended on the 19th of November. It emerges from shadow on the 7th, and you can get some clarity around a relationship matter at that time that perhaps has been lacking. Perhaps there's been some cross wires, perhaps someone has gone out of your world, or perhaps there's been a reconnection that's happened or about to happen at that point, which can absolutely delight you. Now on the 7th, not only does Mercury come out of shadow, it's also going to see you thinking much more about what you want in your relationships. It's going to give you much greater clarity around your thoughts and also about how you express yourself. You can be a bit more detached, so this could offset the kind of muddle that the Sun's square with Neptune could create, especially around relationships, so that's very helpful. But on the 9th, Mercury actually moves into your 8th solar house to join up with the Sun. This is a deep and penetrative part of your scope, and it's very business-like. So if you are thinking about making some last-minute purchases, it's possible that you may be thinking about them in a very logical and business-like way, which is no bad thing, of course. But the 12th does see a full moon, which is going to test your resolve. It's a rare Taurus that does not enjoy, even if it's just a slice of luxury or lush. So this full moon could see you still bending your budget to splash out on the loved ones that you really are devoted to. But it also could see you tempted to push through the budget that you can truly afford. So if you're thinking of flexing your plastic card, then just bear in mind that it will have to be paid for ultimately next year. Now, from the 10th through to the 24th, Mars is also going to be forging a sensational angle to Saturn and Pluto. Now, these two outer planets, higher octave planets, are the power brokers of the Zodiac. And of course, in Pluto's case, since 2008, pushing you to be much more experimental. And over the last couple of years, if you've resisted change, Saturn may have made it a bit painful. Or it could be that the truth of a situation may have become much more profound, and that in itself may have made you wince at times. But this angle suggests that you can be proactive around your relationships, but I think the central theme needs to be that you really can relate to the right people. So in other words, there's a common philosophy between you. It may seem a bit deep, but if your values are not in kilter towards the person you're attracted to or the person you're with, this is going to be tested at this time. It's just the fact of the matter. However, on the 20th, Venus, your ruler, glides into a glorious location at the very top of your horoscope. And don't be surprised if your boss or a line manager surprise you with a fantastic compliment for all your hard work of the year, or maybe there will be a gift. Or maybe you'll start to think about who you can relate to over the Christmas season, and just who could turn out to be a bit of a surprise. Because in the run-up to Christmas, Venus is in a right angle with Uranus. This points towards a change of plan in an existing tie. Perhaps you had a particular set of friends or relatives that you were going to visit, and maybe one of you promotes the idea of doing something completely different and spontaneous, which could actually be really good for you. Or perhaps if you're single, you could find yourself attracted to someone who's so different to you, but actually there's something about them that both stimulates and captures your imagination, yet this person may also be quite a steady character in some ways, rather like you are, and that can actually be comforting. So a spark of difference, a spark of attraction, they may be rather well off, or at least established, and it just could come as a bit of a surprise who this person could be. So someone from a different age group, for example, could capture your imagination. Now on the 22nd, the Sun moves into Capricorn. So the energy that's building up with Jupiter, the planet of luck, with Venus until the 19th, and Ceres, all in the sign of Capricorn, along with Saturn and Pluto, which are getting ever closer in their conjunction as this month draws to a close. So the Sun moves into this area. Fantastic stuff. And by the end of this year, the Sun goes alongside Jupiter. If ever there was a combination to make you feel optimistic about what 2020 will hold for you and what the end of this year can hold too, it's this. This really can give you a tremendous desire to break away, to go on a last minute expedition, to visit a different place to do Christmas shopping, or spend New Year's Eve in somewhere that's very stimulating to your senses. So change, which sometimes in your past has seemed like a bit of a scary phenomenon, can actually now become a rather enticing and attractive one. But it is true to say that on Christmas Day, the moon is in the 8th house, which creates a bit more desire, and it could pull you towards something that's more familiar. You could be around some people who are a bit more intense, but if it does need to be brightened up, it can be you who's very imaginative about the party games or the different things that you can do just to be a little bit more free-spirited. And I feel that you just almost certainly would be travelling much more than is normally the case over this Christmas time. Now, the 26th sees a solar eclipse, one that's going to support you for the next 6 months with this pushing out from the very safe structures that you've known until now. It is going to come for you. Even if you stay in the same home, the same relationship, it's going to change because you're going to change your relationship to that home, that relationship. You're going to want to bring some point of difference in, which makes you feel more alive. Oh, it's so amazing, Taurus. It really is a fantastic opportunity. It is true that on the 29th, Mercury also joins up with all these planets in Capricorn, so that's fabulous too. But Jupiter and the Sun do go into an opposition with the North Node as the year ends. This could make you very upbeat and fantastic company to be with. If you're with people who love to discuss different cultural stuff, philosophy, sports, you could have some fantastic conversations into the wee small hours. And if you do encounter people that are very different, whereas in the past you may have felt a bit reserved and unsure of how to be or who they are, that's going to be much less of an issue this time. Now, as the month comes to a close, Venus, your ruler, has moved forwards, and it connects with the midpoint between the Sun and the Moon in the sign of Aquarius. So you could find yourself being a guiding light, someone who's just taking care of others. Perhaps you're going to be the person organising something. It could be that you're just going to book a vacation for later in 2020 and take advantage of the winter sales. Good for you if so. But this desire to bring change, whether it is in an internal, emotional, spiritual, philosophical context, or in terms of your environment, is going to be so powerful that as you make your New Year's resolutions, I think the excitement that you're feeling with Jupiter's help and all these other influences is really going to be quite palpable. If you'd like to know what 2020 would hold for you based on your individual birth data and goes beyond your zodiac sign, you can order your 12-month horoscope forecast and get 30% off by seeing the link beneath this video. You can also get the rest of 2019 free. But I'd like to wish you a very happy Christmas and New Year. Thanks so much for sticking with me as I went through the rheumatoid arthritis and emerged so much healthier this year. And I intend to be doing lots more exciting stuff in 2020. But for now, it really has been a pleasure. Good luck and goodbye.